So yeah, got rid of the hat because it's too hot. Natural verbal game. After watching this video and doing the call to action at the end, remember, I'll guide you through the reference experiences that you need in order to become the natural. You will never, ever, ever run out of things to say. And here's the beauty about this. It is simple. It is very, very simple, because what I'll do is I'll give you the 4 rules of verbal game, plus some other cool stuff. And the way I set it up is still a lot of good information, but it still enables you to embrace it with your character, right? To make it part of who you are. I'm not going to tell you, say this, say that, as I did earlier in this, quick little structure videos that gives you something to hold on to. No, this is literally there to fully let out your character. So let's get into it. The 4 rules of verbal game. Number 1, it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. And this first rule has 3 subpoints. 1A is paint pictures in their head. 1B, write songs in their head. And 1C, talk about your feelings. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's give an example to illustrate these points. For example, true story. I'm going to tell a story now in 2 different ways. The first one is just random, and the second one is rule number 1A, 1B, 1C. Now, in 2010, first example, 2010, I went to Croatia with my best friends. It was pretty cool. We were there for a week. We saw the beach. We had a car. We drove there, and yeah, it was cool. Not bad, I would say. Not bad. But now let's see, what does it look like when I adhere to those 3 1A, 1B, 1C rules? In 2010, I went to Croatia with my best friends, and it was crazy because we took the car, and I'll never forget that picture from when I saw the ocean for the very first time. We had been driving over this long, super, super long, desolated mountain pass for hours, and I remember from the horizon, all of a sudden, the ocean came up. And at that very time, when we saw the ocean, the sun was going down, and the whole sky was soaked in orange, and was being reflected in the ocean water. And we rolled down our windows, and we heard the wind rushing in, and I don't know, for the first time in my life, I felt free. I felt like I could go anywhere I want. I might not have the money, might have the fame or whatever, but I'm free, and I can take this car with my best friends, and I can do whatever the fuck I want. Now, if I'd ask somebody which story sounded better, or which way of telling the story sounded better, the first one or the second one, hopefully most people will say, well, the second one. Why? Super simple, because 1A, I painted a picture in your head, my friend. What kind of picture did I paint? Well, the ocean, right? It was orange, the sunset, then it was being reflected in the ocean water. That's the kind of picture I painted in your head. What kind of song did I paint in your head? Now, obviously, paint in your head, write in your head. Now, obviously, that's not the actual song. I told you about the wind rushing in, right? So how did it sound like? I could also do things like, and then we went down to the ocean, and then we heard the fucking seagull in the distance, or we listened to the silence or the waves rushing in a very rhythmic manner, right? That's the kind of song I'm writing in your head. And obviously, how did it make me feel? Free. For the first time in my life, it made me feel free. And this last one is actually super important too, because that's how girls communicate. They communicate with themselves in their brain and with others through their emotions. Right now, example, if you ask your male friend how the movie was that he just watched, hey man, how was the movie? He's like, oh yeah, it was cool, man. Matt Damon, and he's the main character, and he's like left on Mars. The movie cost $30 million. It's actually from a book. That male friend would be very likely to just give you the information, right? And you as a guy, you'd be like, well, thank you for the information. If you ask a girl, now obviously simplifying here and overgeneralizing, but her story would most likely sound more like this, like, oh my God, I watched this movie, and there was I could feel with the main character, and there was this intrigue and you couldn't trust the other person, like you don't even know what fucking movie it is, but you know how she felt about it, right? And if you can adhere to that notion as well as a natural, girls will be able to understand you and relate to you, and they will have the feeling like you just get them, right? So the first rule is not about what you say, it's about how you say it. Paint pictures in their head, write songs in their head, and Tell them about your feelings. Talk about how it made you feel. Rule number 2 is talk about your passions. Why is that so important? Because when you talk about your passion, your whole demeanor changes. You might get more excited. You know a lot more about this. You wake up, if you will. Basic premises RSD, Real Social Dynamics. It's just a couple of dudes talking about their passion, game, personal development, lifestyle, right? This is why I could do the natural, shooting hours and hours and hours and hours at a time, because it's my fucking passion. And I hope, at least to a certain degree, I hope you agree, man, I come across as excited, and I hope some of that, you know, comes through to you and you become excited as well, and it's easier for you to listen to me, right? Best example, I had a friend, Tomas, very cool guy, extremely smart, but he would never really be one of the louder people. He would never really say much. He would be, you know, some people might consider boring. And I remember we went out one day and, you know, into a club, and he's all like, oh, hey, he has this very monotonous voice, right? And he's like, oh, hey, da, da, da. And I'm like, hey, go talk to that girl. He's like, oh, no, what do I say? I'm like, you know what? Talk about protein. Why did I say about protein? Because he's a total nutrition geek, you know, one of those gym bros. He loves to talk about nutrition and protein. I know that because, you know, every time we would hang out, multiple people, he would never really have a lot to say unless the conversation would somehow end up being about, you know, nutrition and protein. He'd be like waking up. He'd be like, yeah, check it out. I read this article, blah, 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 and it's actually like this and like that, and the science says this. And everybody was like, whoa, like what happened to him? Like, holy shit, he's so excited about that, because that is his passion. So back to that example with him in the club, and I say, talk about protein. Walk up to a girl, talk about protein. It's funny because she was like some 18, 19-year-old club girl, you know, mini skirt. And he walks over to her and he's like, oh yeah, you have a nice physique. You should take care of your protein intake. And the girl, at first, she's like, okay, what the fuck? And then he just kept talking, and 10 minutes later, I checked back on him and the girl was so into him. She's like, oh my God, that is so interesting. Oh my, why do you know that? I should definitely check my protein household and all kinds of shit. And then he's like, yeah, I have more protein outside in the bushes. I have protein milk. Funny thing is, he actually did. He always brought protein milk to the club and hid it outside the bushes so he wouldn't lose his gains. So let's go. And the girl's like, yay. So he pulls her outside, reaches into the bushes, has some protein milk, drinks the protein milk, embarks on another mini rant how 20 grams of protein is not enough. Actually, I have more protein at home. Let's go. And he pulls her home. Now, if he can pull with protein, you can pull with anything, and any passion of yours is going to be good, because again, your demeanor changes, you're excited, and by the law of state transference, whenever you're excited, the girl becomes excited. All right, so here's a little trick. What does that mean for you in the field? Obviously, you don't have to walk up to the girl, talk about protein, but I have one or two of my passions always at the back of my head that I can always talk about. It's important to know that it doesn't matter what those passions are. It doesn't matter like if they're cool, they're generally perceived as cool, or rather nerdy. It doesn't matter, because it's about how it changes you and your demeanor. You have to know that as well. You don't need to steer the conversations towards the passion that you are. Fuck that. Just talk about it. Like, hey, have you ever counted the protein intake of your food? Right? Like, or you ask the girl, like, hey, what's your passion, by the way? Let me know about your passion. And she talks about her passion, then you talk about your passion, right? So no need to steer the conversation towards that. Girls love it when you're unpredictable in the topics you talk about. That is one important thing. And the other super important thing is, by you talking about your passions, it's basically for the girl, it's like a preview of what it would look like if she had sex with that guy. I really try to follow me here. It's like a preview of what it would look like if you have sex. And here's the cool thing again, it doesn't matter what kind of hobby that is. And then let's say, for example, we have a guy who has a hobby or a passion that is generally perceived as kind of cool. A freestyle skier. All right, that's pretty dope. You jump off helicopters and shit. But he's not really able to talk about this passion in a good manner. So the girl's like, what's your passion? He's like, oh, I guess I kind of like the freestyle skiing thing, You jump off the thing, I guess. That's, it's pretty cool or whatever, right? He's not talking about his passion in a passionate way, right? So for the girl, if she would imagine fucking this guy, it would probably look like, oh, I guess I could fuck you from behind, maybe. Did you maybe like this? Maybe whatever, You know, like the girl's like, well, you know, that's boring. But imagine a guy who has a shitty passion, not so cool, nerdy passion, but he's able to talk about it in a passionate manner. I had a friend of mine actually, his passion is mathematics, because I taught him exactly that. And I said, dude, talk about mathematics, right? And he also you can also adhere to that first rule when you talk about your passions, right? How does it make you feel, right? And he talked about mathematics, and he's like, you know what? Mathematics, when I sit down in a silent room on a lovely afternoon in my apartment, and I just start doing calculations, I have this blank piece of paper in front of me, and I start writing down numbers and letters, and it makes me feel like I'm in control. It makes me feel like I understand. It makes me feel like everything that happens in the world is easily explainable with mathematics. It makes me feel alive. It makes me feel like I'm in control. Mathematics, right? That's just the way he talked about that. The girl would be like, damn, if this guy ends up fucking me, he's like, I'm gonna fuck you. You're gonna lay down here on the little bed, and I'll slowly penetrate you. And it's gonna make you feel like you're alive, and I'm alive, and our bodies merge together, right? Dude, that is fucking passion. The guy has the glaring fire in his chest. That's all the girl is concerned about. Does that guy have a glaring fire in his chest, or is he boring as fuck? And she doesn't care what that fire is burning for, as long as there is a fire, okay? Cool passions of mine that are cool in and of itself: playing guitar, doing snowboarding, music in general, traveling. Passions that are officially not as cool, but that work just as well: video games. Game. I talk about game. I love talking about my passion, which is game. I love talking about my job, which is teaching guys game. Girls now as well, kind of, but usually guys, right? And some people might think, oh, that's creepy. I can't tell the girl that I watch a program called The Naturale, for example. Fuck that, dude. If I go on an hour-long rant of why the game is the most epic thing in the world, the girl will fuck me. Because I could literally just go on an hour rant of why this is so cool, and how it makes me feel, and how awesome it is. The girl's like, oh my God, this game thing sounds amazing. Like, I would have got a free tour, right? So that is my passion. Okay, so that is rule number 2. Talk about your passions. Have 2 of them on the back of your head. Don't worry if they're officially not cool. Stand your ground. As long as there's a glaring fire within you, you're good to fucking go. Rule number 3 is no filters. The thing that you need to know about no filters is, it's funny because you probably don't have any filters when you talk to your best friends, right? You're able to just hang out with them and literally just talk a whole day. You just chat, and you do whatever, you hang out with your best friends, you could just talk. Right now, all of a sudden, when you talk to a girl, though, you're like, I don't know what to say, right? I want to say this, but is it cool enough? Will it trigger attraction? I want to say that. Oh, she probably thinks I'm an idiot, right? You have your filters, right? It pops up in your brain, then it goes through the filter. Is it cool? Can I say it? Blah, blah, blah. And then usually it doesn't even come out your mouth. Anybody who has a golden mouthpiece, anybody who's a natural, who's very good at game, they don't have that filter. It's like pops in the brain and they say it. Pops in the brain and they say it. It's funny. You even let's watch some infield footage here. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at an infield footage of a funny situation happened in Vegas. The girl is holding my ID in her hand because for some reason I gave her my ID. And she's like, oh, is that your fucking card? Why does it look so different? First thing that pops into my head, no filters, because I'm disabled. Which is funny in and of itself already. And then she asks me what kind of disability. And then you can actually see the exact moment when that pops into my brain. I'm already laughing. I haven't even seen it yet. I'm already laughing about it. So let us see.
Is your Rebel card? Yeah. Why does it look so different?
Because I'm disabled.
You're disabled?
Yeah.
Why?
I have I have enormous penis syndrome.
That was really funny.
I know. I have enormous penis syndrome. I always ask who's having the most fun in set. Me, right? And that enables me to have no filters. My focus is not on I want to get somewhere. My focus is on amusing myself. So again, I want to emphasize here: you have filters up when talking to a hot girl or whatever, because you want to get somewhere, because you want to get the number, because you want to get good reactions, because you want to take her home. Fuck that. The underlying natural communication of you having filters up is, okay, this guy's having an agenda because he's thinking about what he wants to say. He's not free. He's not taking the pressure off himself. He wants to get somewhere. So get rid of the need to get somewhere with the girl, and you'll get rid of your filters. Drop that notion, and you'll drop your filters. Congratulations, you're now free, which is one of the most beautiful things when you're doing game, is that you're free to say whatever you want, and that you can talk about whatever you want without having to have this fucking filter up. Let's get to the fourth rule of verbal game, which is the chain of associations, but apparently that is dumb English, so let's call it free associations. Many people might know this even from improv class or whatever, nothing new, but it's so fucking powerful when it comes to natural game. Free association basically means whatever the person just told you, just said, you can pick one of those words and say the first thing that pops up into your head about that, right? In combination with rule number 1, 2, and 3, especially with the no filter rule, you can easily just talk about whatever. For example, the girl says like, oh, I have a cat. The fucking cat is black. Then I can talk about cat, have, or black. I can say like, oh, I have a smartphone. It's called Nexus 5X. Right now, you can talk about Nexus, 5X, smartphone, phone. Let's talk about Nexus, right? I'm particularly choosing the difficult words here. Oh, Nexus, isn't that this one building in this one video game called StarCraft 2? Oh yeah, StarCraft 2. It reminds me it's probably better than StarCraft 1. There's not many things that are better than 1. But, you know, for example, Terminator 2 was a lot better than Terminator 1, but Terminator 3 was not as good as Terminator 2. You know, you get the gist, right? So you can build up what the person just said. Or you can build up what you yourself just said. For example, the girl just doesn't want to talk to you. We'll go later into that. There's a whole chapter about that. You can just build up what you said. But ideally, it's like this back and forth. So now, when I say, okay, you just build up on whatever the person just said, it doesn't need to be the last word. Just pick any word. And again, it's more like just like this last resort kind of thing. If the conversation is going great about cats, no need for you to switch the topic for the first word that comes to your head from one of the words she said. It's cool, but in case the conversation, quote unquote, dies down, you'll be able to like, okay, shit, I don't know what to say. Well, what did she last say? Blah, blah, I picked this word, oh, blah, the first one that comes up to that about this word. And then you're good to go. Now, hold on a second, Max. What you just said has zero logical coherence. I get you, man. I get it, because you're a man just like me. Now, again, we are... our most prevalent drive is logic. Talk about that and the difference between men and women in the whole chapter, but our main drive is logic, right? So we're like, but it has zero logic coherence, what you just said. But have you ever listened to, just a random question, have you ever listened to a girl on the phone with her best friend for 5 minutes? You know, you might have listened to your mom or your sister or your ex-girlfriend or whatever on the phone for 5 minutes. There are 50 different topics within 5 minutes because they can jump back and forth. They don't care about that. And if you can adhere to that notion as well, you're able to communicate to a woman in a naturally cool way. So don't be afraid if it has zero logical coherence. Sometimes I jump from the tax system to anal sex, really. I don't care. Or anal sex to tax system, right? The thing is, girls are excited as fuck when they have a feeling like, oh my god, this guy's topics are unpredictable. You never know what's next with this guy. And you'll get compliments like, oh my god, you never run out of things to say. Oh my god, I feel like I could talk about anything with you. Well, great, because you just do the chain of associations. Now, in order to practice that and kind of showcase it to you, my friend, and by the way, I have to say this is a great fucking practice that you should do all day. I mean, not all day, but every day. I did it every day. It's great to practice that when you're like waiting for the traffic light to turn green, when you're in public transport, when you're just at home bored. Here's what I'm gonna do. Chain of associations. Game the glass, which is a badass glass. Game the glass with chain of associationing your own words for 4 fucking minutes. 4 minutes? Let's go. Pop that shit. So yes, hello glass. You are on my hand. That is very fantastic. You know what else fantastic? Fantastic Four. I think I've seen the old Fantastic Four. Without what's that girl's name? That super hot actress. Jessica Alba, super hot. I heard the new Fantastic Four just totally sucks, which kind of is funny because, you know, if you listen to Barney Stinson, which is a famous character in the TV show How I Met Your Mother, he says new is always better, which is kind of funny because he says always, which is kind of an absolute. You know, I have another quote for that, for example, by Obi-Wan Kenobi, who says only a Sith deals in absolute. So does that make Barney Stinson a Sith? Well, not really, because it's fictitious. At least I hope so. Well, it does say in Star Wars, in a long time ago in a far away galaxy, which kind of implies that it actually happened just, you know, a long time ago in a far away galaxy. But I don't really know, because it looks kind of futuristic. You know what else looks futuristic? You, my dear Glass, you look quite future. No, actually, you also look very old school. You're like the holy grail of glasses. Funny enough, I bought you at IKEA. I bought you. Sounds like you're my whore. Maybe I could put my dick in it. Like maybe it's like, maybe it feels. Can we do a 20-minute break maybe so I can? Anyway, no. No, we can't do a break. Okay, that's too bad. But you know, I do know there's like sometimes you can jerk off into a glass and then you have the girl drink it. But you wouldn't like that. No, you're a nice Glass. You just want water. Like Bruce Lee said, be water, my friend. I actually typed it into Google once when I was very young, because I thought that quote was so cool, be water, my friend, that I would like post it on my Facebook world in all the different languages. So I Google translated be water, my friend, in Spanish, and it said ser agua amigo, which I'm not sure if that is, because be water, my friend, in that case is an imperative. I'm not sure if ser is the imperative of to be. Anyways, imperative is a Latin word. I know that because I study Latin, which comes from, I don't even know, I think it's impero, imperas, imperare, imperavi, imperatum, which means to order someone, right? The emperor, right? In German we say imperator. That's the word actually derived from Latin. There's a lot of things derived from Latin, not only languagely speaking. Languagely is not even an adverb, but who cares? But more in terms of culture, like the Romans were super huge on, what's it called, like thermal baths, right? They would have these like public places where all the water comes together, and they had like crazy watering systems. They would take all the water from the Alps. We are in the Alps right now, actually, shooting the Naturale. It's a product, or more an online course, how I like to call it, because it is really an online course of, you know, people getting better with women, just becoming cooler people in general, getting the natural, making it effortless. I mean, people who are watching us converse here probably know that, right? My friend here, he knows that as well, because obviously he has a natural. So yeah, you're quite shiny, you know, like shiny little people. That's that word. No, that's a song by REM. REM. That's a great band from the 90s, probably also 80s. I'm not sure if that song's from the 80s or the 90s, but a lot of cool things happened in the 80s. I mean, what are the coolest things that happened in the 80s and 90s? Rock. I mean, come on, rock. Like the stadium rock, you know, like rock was the first ever musical genre that moved into a stadium. I think the first band ever, the first artist in that matter, that was performing in a stadium were the Beatles, which are, you know, the godfathers of rock, if you will. It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, for a shitty name like that, like just imagine, you know, the band that you just found that you're about to create music for is going to be the biggest band ever. People are literally claiming they're bigger than Jesus, and you know, who knows if they actually are, but you know, I would never choose like a shitty name like the Beatles, you know. I would call them like Slayer or something, you know, like, or Anthrax, like all these other cool bands, but they're not as big. You know what else is not as big? I know, Bigfoot. He probably doesn't exist, so if you say non-existent means zero size and small, it's just zero in size, then he's probably not that big, is he? So I don't even know Bigfoot. I haven't seen him, but it kind of sounds like something to eat, and I'm very hungry already, even though I ate all day. You know, it's really funny because, oh yeah, that was 4 minutes. Fantastic. So 4 minutes gaming the glass, and or whatever, you know, if you don't have a glass, game something else, game the wall. I love these. I think it's funny. I come up with so much cool shit. And here's the secret: if you can game a glass, there's nothing coming from the glass. Okay, it's not saying anything. It's really not. So if you can game a glass for 4 minutes, you can game a girl as well. Because whatever the girl does, no matter how bitchy she is, no matter how much she ignores you, she will give you a little more than the fucking glass, okay? So it's probably just some infield footage here. So you might have even skipped those 4 minutes because fuck that. I don't want to listen to Max ranting for 4 minutes. Let's look at a little bit of infield footage. The first example here is very interesting because you can basically see how I'm saying something funny off the spot, right? No filters, and I build upon what I just said. Let's see. So I'm doing the chain of associations, or the association, what is it called? Chain associations, free association with myself. Let's see. What is up, bitches? That's my opener. What is up, bitches? You're cute and short, I like it. You like my little hobbit? You want to go on an adventure with me? Hi. Sorry girls, I'm taken. As easy as that. So I'm walking over there, I'm like, oh, you're cute and short, I like it. What's the first thing that pops out of my head for whatever reason when I hear cute and short? You like my little hobbit. What's the first thing that comes to my mind when I say hobbit? Adventure. Do you want to go on an adventure with me? It's that easy, and it just came across as so lighthearted and not try hard at all. I go in to hug the girl, and then I immediately acknowledge your friend. We'll talk a lot more about all the dynamics here, but that's as easy as it is. Now, the second example here is a good showcase of a back and forth with that chain of associations, or free associations. Now, the girl's not really hot. She's funny, you know, it's just a random warm-up set, but I chose it because it kind of depicts it kind of well of what's going on with the chain of associations. So let's see. Again, my opener, no filters. Wow, can I join the multiracial group as a white boy? So there's like, you know, multiracial thing going on. Not that I'm racist or anything, like disclaimer here, but that's the first thing that pops into my head. Can I join the multiracial group as a white boy? Dorky white boy from Europe. I think that's the last thing you guys need. Dorky white boy from Europe. I think that's the last thing you guys need. Let's see.
It's fine.
I'm allowed to do that. I'm from the countryside. I don't have manners.
Where are you from?
Has zero, like, what the fuck? I'm from the countryside. I don't have manners. The girl immediately like, where are you from? She jumps on because she sees I'm lighthearted, I don't give a fuck, and I just say whatever I want. Austria.
Austria. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
Do you know where that is?
I do, of course.
Where is it?
Definitely in Australia.
So like this random guy like wants to get into the conversation, but I just ignore him.
Near Germany in...
Oh my god, you're so smart. You're the smartest girl in Vegas. You have a PhD or some shit? You're so smart. You're the smartest girl in Vegas. Do you have a PhD or some shit? It's the first thing that popped in my head when it comes to smart.
Absolutely.
What do you do? In what?
In psychology?
Cuteness? In what? In cuteness? Dorky, ridiculous compliment that I made more to like joke around. And she says, oh, in psychology. It's the first thing that comes up to my head when I hear psychology is mind reading. Can you read my mind? Let's see what I'm saying. Oh, almost. So you can read my mind? What's on my mind? Read it now. I'll give you a tip. It's 90% sex.
We share
Sex and violence. That's all I got in my head. Huh?
We share something in common then.
Sex and violence. That's all that's in my head. And she even jumps to that. We have something in common then. Yeah?
I'm kidding.
You just got so hot and then you said you're kidding. But like my libido is like on the floor, gone. Hey, what's your name? Do you know that song? Do you know that song? Like, do you see like the dynamics of what we talked about? Like, oh, I'm from the countryside. Where are you from? What do you do? Psychology. Can you read my mind? Sex and violence. Oh, me too. Do you know that song? Do you see how lighthearted and dynamic that conversation is, as opposed to like, hello, my name is. What is your name? Where are you from? What is your job? Right? That is cool too, every now and then. But this is just a good example of how free-flowing the chain of association can be. And the girl just loves it. So now that song is from Led Zeppelin. I talked a little bit about that. Talking about my passion, right? Let's see. Led Zeppelin. I mean, the riff is Led Zeppelin.
I don't know this song.
It's a remix
okay,
though,
yes.
but the riff is Led Zeppelin. 50-year-old riff. My name is Max.
What was it?
Max.
Max?
Let me know if I'm too fast, okay?
Okay.
I would say my brain is like a beehive. Okay. And in that beehive, every bee has a brain like you.
Really?
So it's just like...
Is that something they use on every girl?
I have to say the disclaimer here is from Malcolm in the Middle, a quote from a TV show, Who Cares? And she's like, do you say this to every girl? Classic shit test indicator that she's interested. Again, I'm not interested in her, she's not that attractive, but you know, who cares? Like a million collections and connections in my brain and all these calculations. Just imagine like while I'm looking at you, it's like all those numbers in front of my eyes like... Now I'm talking about numbers. Like how retarded. But she loves it. I don't like this one. What's your name?
Max, she's my
Max,
best friend.
my name is Max.
Do you know him? His name's Max?
Yeah, I'm the kind of guy. I'm the kind of guy who brings hot boyfriends for you as well.
I don't need a hot boyfriend. I'm okay.
Girlfriend? Dog? weird sex slave, whatever you prefer, I got it all. So yeah, she's like, oh, I don't need a boyfriend. I'm like, oh, girlfriend, weird sex slave, dog, whatever weird fetish, I have it, right? Like, how retarded is that? I have connections to the black market.
You connected to the black market.
I am the black market, bitch. You have connections to the black market. I am the black market. Just retarded shit. Now, this is, by the way, I overspike it because I say bitch, you know, which is totally cool. I understand that she doesn't like that. We'll talk more about the overspiking in the next couple of chapters about verbal game. But here, I have to tone it back, apologize, and then I use it again, chain of association, to talk about something new and awesome.
No, you are. Whoa. Excuse me.
Excuse me? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If I crossed the line, I apologize.
You did.
I did. I totally. Oh my god.
I'll warn you. It's okay.
Okay, I am the black market, mademoiselle.
Mademoiselle.
Oui. C'est très bien. Parlez-vous français? Tu parles français? I'm asking if she speaks French, which I don't. What languages do you speak? Korean?
I'm Korean.
Yeah, are you?
No, I'm Filipino and white.
You speak Filipino? Filipinas? I do.
Say something.
Not right now. I do. I speak Filipino. Say something. Not right now. Total bullshit.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
Ah, c'est kotosima. I forgot whatever that means.
Après le plus le bouton.
Now she said something French that I have no idea about, so I'm just like acting like she made a mistake. No,
No,
c'est là très bien.
That's the only thing
Il est
that's
fou.
different.
Il est.
How many languages do you not
C'est
speak?
ça mon ami. Il est mon ami. Il est from Spain.
Hey.
España. Okay.
Let's hop. Now bringing in the student. Bam, bam, bam. Off stage transfers. As easy as that. But I hope that was a good showcase example of being able to chain of associate your way through an interaction, make it lighthearted, make it fun, make it interesting. She doesn't know what's coming next. Bam, that is a verbal game. Obviously, that's the ideal manner. Sometimes you get stuck. That's cool. Sometimes you don't know if you're too spiky or not relatable enough. But we'll talk more about this in the coming chapters about verbal game. But those are the 4 rules of verbal game. The next thing that I like to use is, it has a weird title, not really catchy title, of how to DHV through storytelling. DHV is an old school pickup term that basically means demonstration of high value, right? So it's massively inaccurate for what I'm trying to say here, but what I'm basically doing is I can convey that I have a cool life by my storytelling. It's not something new. In fact, many beta males do it, but the problem with beta males is they do it way too obviously. Like the beta male will literally be like, I am very rich. I work at this company and I am very successful, right? The girl's like, oh my God, so I try hard. So what you gotta do is you just literally very subtly mention it. Like literally so fucking subtle. You just literally just like mention the cool thing that shows that you are a cool person, but then you actually talk about something else. Now let's see, for example, this is a true story that I verbatimly tell the girls, and it also happened, but by the way, it doesn't need to have happened if you haven't had a cool life yet. The thing is, what I did in the beginning about that, by the way, was I just made up funny stories, cool stories that would like show that I have a cool life, even though I didn't. But through pickup in and of itself, through the mindset that you would adhere to of everything should be an adventure, everything should be epic, I just created a very cool life within months, and all of a sudden I had real stories to tell. Amongst this one, yeah, actually that reminds me, it was so cool. Just random thought of what happened just a couple months ago. Nowadays, actually, it happened a couple of years ago, but a couple months ago, I was driving home with my friend, and you know, she sits next to me, and it was like late at night, like 3 a.m. in the morning or something, and we spot this like very shady-looking person on the sidewalk, like, you know, like kind of trying to go home, but not really being able to hold the balance. And my friend said, like, oh wait, isn't that Chris? And she was right. It was Chris, my best friend. And I'm like, you know, we stopped the car and I'm like, hey dude, like what the fuck, you need a ride? And he was like walking home from his like favorite bar, all drunk. And he literally still had like the glass of beer, however the hell he got it out of there. He had the glass of beer in his hand. And I'm like, dude, come on, I'll give you a ride, hop in. And he hops in at the back of the car. And you know, I turn around and I bring him home. And I remember I was like driving and I had to like look back to him all the time because he was falling asleep and the big jug of beer, you know, it like tilted even more, and I'm like, fuck. So I had to like hold his beer while like driving home, and then he woke up like shock woke up like, bah! And we're like, hey, we'll bring you home, don't worry. He's like, drive slower, and I'm like, no, we're almost there. There's no need to drive slower. He's like, no, I want to jump out of the car. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you crazy? And while I'm trying to like talk it out of him, I'm just in case driving slower. And literally like the moment I slowed down, the last thing I saw was the light. Well, that was the second to last thing. The second to last thing I saw was the light popping up. You know, the light that turns on in the car when somebody opens the door. And I'm like, shit, he opened the door. So I turn around and the very last thing I saw were his feet. Because he was like about to roll out of the fucking car. And he did roll out of the car. You just heard the glass in the distance like psst, splashing on the floor. He was like rolling around right next to the car. Thank God I was driving very slowly at that time. Just, you know, from the short time when he opened the door, I was able to just like hit the brakes. And he was like rolling next to the car all weird. And, you know, we get out and we bring him back to the car. We bring him to his place. We help him get into his house. We tuck him into sleep. And the next day he texts me all angry at his brother. He's like, dude, my fucking brother, I'm gonna kill him every time he steals my jacket, and then now I see the jacket and it's all ripped and broken, man, it's my favorite jacket. I'm like, dude, you were wearing that jacket yesterday. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, you jumped out of my car. That is why it is all ripped. And he's like, what? He couldn't even remember it. Too bad I didn't have a camera. You saw what I just fucking did there? I told a funny story about my friend Chris. Haha, we all laughed. But all the girl is thinking about is like, damn, this guy's driving home at 2 a.m. in the morning and he has a hot girl sitting next to him in the car, right? That's all I did. Now you as a guy are like, what hot girl? Oh yeah. Because it's so subtle for you, right? It's so subtle. You're like, what the fuck? But for a girl, she's able to pick up on these subtleties, and that's the beauty. Why do I know that? Because girls do that just the same way. Girls are masters in DHVing themselves through storytelling, right? They're masters in that. And they use that all the time. Like, oh my God, and then this guy sat next to me was really cute. And anyway, the professor was really dumb, blah, 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 right? Just sprinkle it in, little poison drip. And if you want to call it that way, a poison drip to manipulate you, but many times it's also something good that they're trying to convey here. But yeah, girls are masters in that, and you shall become a master in that as well. Yeah, trigger words. That is also a term that pops into my head when it comes to verbal game. This is, I think it was coined through the NLP kind of thing, which is kind of weird in of itself. But yeah, it has some parallels to natural game. Use trigger words. Trigger words are basically words that are especially potent when it comes to eliciting emotions. For example, freedom, love, climax, orgasm. Any of those words, I try to use those as much as possible because they have a very, very strong emotional response by the girl. Like I said earlier, remember the examples, the example of me going to Croatia, right? And I said, it made me feel like I was free. Or the guy with the mathematics, it made me feel like I'm in control. I understand, right? Those are trigger words that have more power than others. I call this the power of words. We're later on going to adhere to that whole power of words notion in a lot greater depth once we're in the becoming irresistible, natural kind of realm. So don't worry about this too much yet. But again, trigger words, very strong words, and I use them. I take advantage of them, and I hammer those in when it comes to verbal game. Pauses. This is key too. And you see me every now and then. I use pauses as well. What do pauses do? Pauses basically make the said thing that you just said a lot more impactful. Just what I just did, really do it now. If I'm like, makes it more impactful, blah, 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 but I'm like, makes it more impactful. And it has that impact. So the basic gist here is talking in a relaxed manner is, as relatively much as possible. I'm probably talking in a relaxed manner while I'm still pretty out there when I'm doing this because I'm so excited about it. But in general, talking in a relaxed manner and make sure that the things you say have pauses behind so you can have more impact. I know that because when you tend to be nervous, you tend to not pause and not give the girl any space to invest herself. So just be aware that pauses are important. How do you know that? How can you see, okay, am I talking fast or slow? Because usually you don't, because in the heat of the moment you don't realize. But what I did for myself, for example, is I recorded my sets. I would just like head out, day game, for half an hour, and I would just record my sets just for me. I wouldn't publish them, obviously, because I would respect other people's privacy, but I would just listen to them myself and just hear like, holy shit, I'm talking so fucking fast. many of those things like pauses, talking not fast enough, not talking loud enough, etc., those are basically just things, those are not complicated to understand, right? You're like, oh yeah, it makes sense. But the way you change them is literally just by reminding yourself over and over again, by being aware of them. So you can also ask your wingman or your friends, like, hey, am I actually talking fast? Or you take your wingman into a set and just have him like take care of, just like paying attention to whether or not you're talking fast or not. So that is one important thing. The other thing is intonation. Intonation, this is also nothing new here, but it's super important too. What do most guys do? They slip into this seeking for rapport tonality, which is you go up with your voice at the end, right? It's like, hey, what's your name? Lisa. And she says like, Lisa, really? Where are you from? I'm from fucking Austria. Austria? Right, there's another thing that people do wrong on top of this intonation, which I call echoing. Worst thing ever. Echoing is basically repeating what the girl just said. Underlying natural communication here is you're too dumb to come up with shit yourself. You want 2 extra seconds of time to think because you're all full of filters. That's why I just repeat what the girl just said. There's nothing more boring to the girl than a guy who repeats what she just said. Like, Lisa from Austria? The girl's like, yes, I just said that. No need for you to repeat that. So cut the fucking echoing short and go down with your intonation. Same thing that I just did. It combined with a little pause, it just gives what I just said, any word, just a lot more weight. Now, even when you ask the girl, except, where are you from? You're like, hey, where are you from? What's your name? Right? I still go down with the intonation. This is like slight bossy kind of manner while still smiling, still being in a good mood, still giving eye contact and all that. But go down with your intonation. Volume. That is so important too, because there's so many guys failing at that. Like, I always put it like this: don't give people a choice whether or not they want to listen to you, because they won't. If they don't know you, they won't, right? Because all we're trying to do is like save energy, right? Now just imagine, this is especially important in a loud nightclub, and I see so many students of mine doing that. They walk up to the girl, they're like, oh, excuse me, and the girl's like, dancing, yeah, they're like, excuse me. Well, first of all, many times the girl's not even sure that you open her. She's not even sure whether or not you're talking to her. And the second thing is, if she does understand it and she kind of like is willing to listen to you for 2 seconds, she's like, huh, what? It's like, oh, huh? Huh? Well, fuck this guy, right? Because she's like, why would I waste energy listening to some random fucking dude that I don't know? Now, if you would have, some sort of, how's it called, authority, you're a president, or like I am somebody that I wanna that you wanna listen to, then that would be different. People would be like, okay, I want to make an effort to listen to that person because he has something to say, and I came here to listen to that person. But if you're a random fucking dude, people won't give a fuck about it. So don't give them the choice whether or not they want to listen to you in terms of volume. So when I get into set, if I want to be a dick, it doesn't matter whether or not somebody else is talking to that girl. I just pop in like, hey, so anyways, yeah, that's cool, bam, bam, bam. Like, the girl doesn't have a choice whether she's not gonna think like, do I listen to him or him? No, she's like, well, all I hear is his fucking voice, so I gotta listen to him. It's as easy as that. So don't give people a choice when it comes to night game, but also doing day game. Why is it doing day game so important? Doing day game, you get a lot because for many people it's a little more pressure situation, right? Because, day game, everybody else can hear you. We talked about the other people already. Let's say, for example, you're in the line at the grocery store, and the girl behind you is cute. Now, what do most people do instinctively? Excuse me. Hey, right? They're like, oh, I hope nobody else is hearing me. That is because if you trace that, they're basically thinking like, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. Taking something from the girl, blah, 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 right? You're basically behaving like a little kid that is about to do something wrong, right? Stealing candy from the whatever, from the fridge. So you're like, oh, I hope I don't get caught. But obviously you want to change it on the inside, like, oh, I'm giving her something cool. I'm giving her the opportunity to talk to a cool person. I'm making her day by opening her, right? Bringing some little color into her everyday life. We work a lot on that in our frames. We still have trouble with that. I highly recommend looking at your frames, at the frames chapter again. And but yeah, that's the basic notion of why that happens. But on the outside communication, you should change that definitely as well. Because what happens when you talk very quietly to the girl? Again, she's unsure what you want. She's unsure that you're talking to her. And you kind of convey that to her as well. And that's creepy. Why is that creepy? If you would look up creep in a dictionary, probably would say something like, it's an unclear vibe, right? I'm not sure what about this guy. He's kind of weird. He's kind of creepy, right? So you will give her an unclear vibe by not speaking up. So what I'm doing with my vocal projection, with the volume of what I say, is I'm basically communicating, yes, I'm opening you. Get over it. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. Hi, my name is Max. Right? So you want to speak with an open and loud and clear voice so the girl doesn't have a choice but listening to you, as funny as that sounds. And there's also no creepiness, right? You're like full on the spot. That is me. Take it or leave it. Now, it's funny because whenever I ask people that are just naturally not as loud, and I was not naturally not as loud too, I would always be like, do you think you're loud enough right now? And they're like, oh yeah, I think I'm loud enough. I'm like, okay, speak super loud as you can. And they'll be like, ha, la, 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 la. And I'm like, do you think you were yelling right now? And they'll be like, yeah, I was totally yelling. And then I told them, or the team, us, we tell them like, dude, you're not yelling at all. And it always blows their minds because in their perception, they're already yelling, they're super loud. Chances that you're not are very high. So a super easy thing to do, ask your wingman, ask your friends. Hey man, am I speaking loudly right now? Am I yelling already? And they're like, when they say no, then you know you definitely need to work on your volume. Again here, constant reminder, have it as a background on your phone, like louder. Write it down on your hand. For me, my big problem was I was talking too fast, so I would write down, slow down, smiley face, or have it on my phone, right? So I would just see it all the time in field, and I would, every time I saw it, I would just correct it until it was normal for me. As easy as that. Here, another thing that comes in here is, because many people are like, okay, talking loudly takes energy, it's exhausting, it might even hurt my vocal cords. Yes, it does, especially if you're not used to loud talking. Here's the thing that I learned when I took singing lessons for a metal band that unfortunately never really made it, but singing lessons. And singing is basically the best way to learn the proper breathing and to learn how to use your fucking voice in a loud, beautiful, sonoric, if you will, manner. And the only thing that you need to do here is, the only thing you need to know when it comes to talking loudly is belly breathing. Like the fat Buddha, I'm breathing into my belly. You see that? Not in my chest, because that's very flat. Like, hey guys, what's up? I can talk very loudly right now, no problem, right? But it's like kind of constrictive. I don't know. It sounds like I'm pressing it out. Right, as opposed to when it comes through my belly, I can be no problem. I can do this shit forever. I can project my voice because it comes from the belly. So really think like you're wearing a corset, right? Like the super tight corset, and you have to breathe yourself out of it, right into the diaphragm, if you will. And if you do that, you have a lot more energy and you can push the air out without sounding too try hard, and it's a lot easier for you to talk loudly. Now, if you get sore at night, that happens. It's a good sign because that means you're yelling, you're talking loudly, which is good. And by the time your vocal cords will adjust to that and it will get stronger. And obviously don't overdo it so you lose your voice. But if you feel a little sore, that's generally a good sign. I remember, as a quick anecdote here, when I first started public speaking with a free tour and a hot seat, those are 2 live programs that I would do. Plus I had the boot camp, the one-on-one coaching in between. I remember at the third day, the third out of 4 days, I would literally get into a 10-hour seminar, and the first words I would say would be like, welcome, but they would be like, anyways, guys, welcome. Voice gone. After the third day, completely gone. Nowadays, because my voice is so strong from all the public speaking, I go in, I bust out 10 hours of seminar, no problem. I never get sore anymore. So that's just as a little thing at the end. Yeah, here's your call to action. Here's your homework, because again, you don't just want to circle jerk around here. You want to get the fucking girls. You want to get the fucking lifestyle and the knowledge so you can pick up any other girl. Obviously not any, but the chances are high that you can. You can only do that, my friend, if you and me are going to take some fucking action now. So here we go. Here's your call to action. Obviously, first of all, go out today. Remember, you're going to go out today every day now. You at least talk to people every fucking day so you become a social person and you learn social cues, etc. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to, number 1, write those down on your phone if you want, if you otherwise forget them. Number 1, use DHV storytelling, which means tell a story and just slightly mention something cool about your life. For example, like, oh yeah, I go to this karate every day. I have a black belt. It's pretty cool. But anyways, like, there's this one dude. He smells so bad, right? Blah, 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 right? That's a little DHV story. The other one is talk about at least 2 of your passions today. A friend doesn't count. Talk to a person that you haven't met yet. To call a person scenario, whatever. Talk about at least 2 of your passions, or if they're uncool, talk about your fucking passions. And number 3, tell a story using 1A, 1B, 1C. Remember, paint pictures, write songs, and talk about your feelings. And the most important thing is, after this, go share it. Because as you might not know yet, there's this beautiful Facebook group for this very online course, The Natural. Everybody who has a natural, including me, are in there, and I want you to share your things. We want you to start being accountable for what you are doing, responsible for what you're doing. And the cool thing is, if you write down your experience, even if it's just like, hey, went out, tried this, worked well, didn't work, gotta do more, or whatever it is, if you share it, other people see like, damn, that guy's taking action, I want to take action too. Or you just are more inclined to take action because you're like, oh, I didn't post today yet. I want to, though. I want to be on that streak of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 54 days, right? It's great, and I give input on there as well. So it's great. Definitely head over to that group on Facebook. Don't worry, it's secret. Your friend's not going to see it. Your girlfriend's not going to see it. Your mom's not going to see it. But do post your experiences on there. Be accountable. Be responsible. So go out, do your call to actions. Let us know how it went for you. And yeah, that's it.